Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Welcome to a special edition. This is Meet the Maker. Over the years, I have gotten a lot of questions, a lot of the same questions over and over. So this video is to answer all those questions, and hopefully also you get a chance to maybe learn something new about me. The first question I get a lot is, how did you end up in Kenya? I get asked this all the time. Does it make sense to people? I am Canadian, born in Saskatchewan, and grew up elementary in Alberta and high school in Vancouver. So slowly migrated to the West and spent my adult years, or till I was about 30, in Vancouver. So lived all over the place, love Vancouver, have not been back since 2004. That'll be the next question. So how I ended up in Kenya, my sister was living here and she was having her first baby, so invited me over to be there for the birth of my niece. And I took the opportunity, I jumped at it, took the opportunity to come over here. And it was fantastic. I never in my mind wanted to go to Africa, wanted to go on a safari. Like, I wanted to do it, but it wasn't on my bucket list. Like, I was happy going to Mexico or Europe, around there. I didn't really think as far as Africa. And I probably thought the same thing about it that you do, just like what you see on the UNICEF commercials, and, you know, just like, it didn't sound great. Anyway, came for a visit here. I was like, what? It's fantastic here. The weather is literally perfect. The people are so nice. It's like such an old-fashioned kind of environment to raise your children. Great place to raise your children, actually. So I really loved it a lot. I went back to Canada, worked hard for a year, put my stuff in storage, and moved back with, like, for an extended holiday, like maybe spend 1 year here, see what I could do, if I could get it together or whatever I could do to live here. Met my husband, we got married, and I've been here ever since. So that is how I ended up here. I just couldn't believe it. I guess I was taken by surprise with how great Kenya is and how great Nairobi is. The next question I get asked a lot is, how did you meet your husband? Well, I actually met him on my first trip here. My sister is a hairstylist, so she used to cut his hair. That's how they knew each other. And then when she had her baby, he brought over a baby gift to give her for her baby. I was actually cooking dinner in the kitchen, and this really cute guy came in, and I didn't even, I'm like, it's my sister's friend giving a present for the baby. It has nothing to do with me. And he actually came into the kitchen and kind of looked at me and said, like, hello. And I was like, hi. I'm like, okay. And then he left, and that was the end of it. The following year, when I came back for my extended holiday, my 1 year trial, I guess he was calling my sister quite a bit, being like, hey, can I take your sister out? Can I take your sister out? Can I take your sister out? Finally he did, or finally the message got relayed where, well, we went out for World Cup. Long story, and we were apart for like a Tuesday after that. We were together, we were like inseparable, and we were married 10 months later. Another thing you might not know is my husband is Indian, and my in-laws are absolutely fantastic. I thought the same, oh no, I can't say it's the same thing, I don't know what you think, but the stereotype, if you marry into an Indian family, is you live with the family, you look after the parents, like the wife does the brunt of the work for the new family, or for her new family. And I thought the same thing, but I guess I've lived with them occasionally from time to time. They are amazing people. If we ever did get in a disagreement, the family totally takes my side no matter what. My mother-in-law goes with me to my medical appointments, like she looks after me. They send food, like it's amazing. So such a blessing. And yes, I'm a Patel. I also have 4 kids. My oldest, Mir, is 17, and then my daughter, Tanea, is 15, and Oliver and Anthony are 11 and 10. The next question I get asked a lot is, how did I start teaching crochet? So I was doing fundraising for an orphanage, and the social worker had got a phone call from a lady in a maternity ward. She'd just given birth. She wanted to give her baby up for adoption, and I thought, maybe she doesn't want to give her baby up for adoption. Maybe she has to because she has to go back to work. So how could we, or how could I teach her a skill that she could do as a new mother where she could still make money and keep her baby? Because how sad would that be, having to give up your baby if you didn't want to? Do you know what I mean? So I sent the social worker to the hospital. Sure enough, she wanted to keep the baby but couldn't. She had to go back to work. Her boss actually fired her as she dropped her off at the hospital to give birth to the baby. Like, okay, I got you to the hospital, you're fired, see you later. So like, imagine the poor girl. Anyway, long story short, I'm like, I could teach her sewing because that's my original skill set. I did all the crafts as a child. I was forced, living in Saskatchewan, that's what you do every winter, a new craft every winter. But sewing was my main form of expression. I sewed everything from top to bottom, like 6 sewing machines, like I'm right into it. I still am into it, but crochet's taken over. But just imagine all this fabric and sewing notions, safe to say. If I taught her sewing, I was worried that just the learning curve on that would probably be expensive, because if you cut the fabric, the fabric is gonna have to be into something smaller, like smaller pieces, because it's cut, like you don't get it back. And I'm like, what if I taught her crochet? Because there's lots of cheap yarn here, and if you make a mistake, you just reuse the yarn. You just frog it, rip it, remove your stitches. So I'm like, what if I did that? I was already scheduled for a craft event 3 weeks later. So I taught her how to make the circles, and then I was just gonna put the little hanging tag on them for hanging ornaments for Christmas decorations. But in the time we had, I couldn't get her to start and end in a secure way. So they just weren't good enough to sell. I put together just balls of yarn and a written pattern and a crochet hook. So 2 balls of yarn, a written pattern printed out, and a crochet hook in cute little bags, packaged it super cute, and sold those at the craft fair to generate money so she could keep her baby and all that. So it turned out these people, like so many people asked me, oh, can you teach me how to do it? Like, they didn't really want to just do it on their own. They wanted classes. And I was like, that is just like, you're being so polite, right? But my dad was there and he was like, just get a form. Like, they can sign up, we can collect your names and numbers. And then in the future, if you wanted to do it, at least you would have an interested, like, you know, it's something you could do in the future. And I was like, okay, whatever. So 38 people signed up, 38 or 39 people signed up. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought they're just being polite. And then one lady, Kavita, started calling me and being like, when are the crochet classes starting? And I'm like, I don't know. So she called a couple times, and eventually it was like, okay, well, it's gonna be you and me. So how about Saturday at our local coffee shop, and I'll just, you know, teach you there. So showed up, and 19 people arrived. I brought yarn, I brought all the stuff for them to teach them, but the coffee shop was like full of crochet people. Like, more than half of the coffee shop was taken up, and I didn't reserve, I didn't book. The coffee shop was a little bit like angry, like like an event has taken over their space. It was like, oh no, what happened? And by the way, it is hard to teach 19 people who, like, the first steps of crochet. Luckily, there was a lady there from South Africa who already crocheted. So she kind of taught like the chaining, like how to make a slip stitch and chain on the one side, and I did on the other side. But it was like pretty hectic. And then that turned into a solid every Saturday class, and that piggybacked off into a Saturday class and a Monday class. And one of the students, Litza, she would, every time she came back to class on Saturday, she was exactly where we left off. And she's like, I was gonna do it, and then I forgot, I just couldn't remember what to do. And I had a written pattern, but she's like, no, I can't read that recipe. She called it recipes. She's like, I can't read the recipe. It doesn't make sense to me. You have to show me. So I was like, okay. And then one of the ladies was like, why don't we just film it? And then she can watch it over and over, and she can do it while like at home. So she'll be caught up for the next class, or at least be able to work on her crochet when she's at home. So we did that. We filmed a little color change and then just put it on YouTube. Like, just made a YouTube channel like at the coffee shop so that she could log in, like you could just go and see it whenever she needed to. We didn't have to like do a drop file or like share it, or, you know, we were just like, that's an easy platform. Literally the only reason I started YouTube, right? And then it became, I started doing videos for whoever was gonna be, like I did a video for that project that week. So whatever the written pattern was, I did a video for it. And then whoever wanted to follow along at home could follow along. Litz is also left-handed, by the way, so that's why if she was going to be working on the project, it was definitely also left-handed and right-handed. Some of the older videos were not left-handed because I knew Litsa wasn't going to be doing it, or any of my left-handed students weren't going to be doing it. So if you go way back in the channel, which I do not suggest you do, but you'll see there's some left-handed. That's because Litsa or my left-handed students were going to do it. And some are just right-handed because my right-handed students were going to be doing it. There's also a lot of comments like, oh, you went too fast, or this or that. And it's like, I know, because I was making those videos like for a specific student in my class, that I was going at their speed, not the speed of a stranger, do you know what I mean, or a real beginner, because I'd already taught them. So then it became easier to just teach online on YouTube. I also started meeting people. I met Dee, I met Seta from Seta's Place. So I met so many friends, and I was like, that is so great. And we're from all over the world. So then I started just teaching online, and I stopped teaching private classes. It just became very kind of time consuming, because who would want to leave this room, right? You just want to sit there and hang out all day. And then my kids were like, Mom, we're hungry. Like, it became like, it took up the whole day. So I kind of stopped that so I could spend the weekends with the kids and just doing it online during the week, because then I could still get all those videos done or whatever I was working on during the week when the kids were in school. And that was a while ago. That was 2016. The next question I get is, what do you do with your finished objects? Well, I fold them up. I keep them folded up nice and tidy. Well, I don't know about nice and tidy. I keep them folded up, and I keep them because I need them for social media. I need them for photos. I even had one, I got a question like, how many stitches is this row, blah, blah, blah. And I'd given away the finished object, the FO. And I was like, what? So to answer the question, I had to crochet it again and then count those stitches and then be like, oh, it's this much, da, 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 da. So I don't do that anymore. I learned my lesson. I keep all of my finished objects nice and tidy, stacked on my cute little finished object wall. Another question I get is, where do I get all my yarn from? Well, it's either Kenyan acrylic or ice yarns. I do have some Bernat. I do have some Karen Simply Soft. Or do I? I used to have some Karen Simply Soft. So most of that is ice yarns, and I do have some Kenyan acrylic. Generally those bright colors you see up there are Kenyan acrylic. The rest is Savor from Ice Yarns, Favorite from Ice Yarns, Softly Baby from Ice Yarns, Super Baby, and Magic Light, Magic Glitz. All those great yarn here. I get them from Ice Yarns. Another question, where do I get the bags I put my yarn in? Well, I buy in bulk. So, well, Ice Yarns is bulk. So they all come in these cute cellophane bags. And Kenyan acrylic comes in regular bags, not so pretty, but all yarn, when you buy in bulk, comes in bags. But I do have a link underneath all of my videos for yarn bags, and those are the bags that you can get on Amazon that fit your yarn. They are cellophane, but it does protect your yarn forever, for years and years and years. So no dust, no bugs, no anything yucky inside your yarn. They stay perfectly clean, perfectly tidy, and really easy to organize and keep looking fresh. Oh, another question I get, have I made all of those blankets and all those finished objects? Yes, I have. So that's a question from somebody that I know is new to the channel, because over the years, we have crocheted a lot together. So yes, I have made all of those things. Some of them I'm more proud of than others, but they are all there, and I made them all myself. And we did get another question in last week's podcast, or the last podcast a couple weeks ago, that was asking me about my pets. Yes, I'm an animal lover, straight up. Look what's happening. Look, oh my gosh, Marvy, I love you too much. Oh my gosh, there's eggs. Oh my gosh, it's an emergency. What do we do? Well,
yeah.
oh my goodness.
Is that it? No, there's many more.
They can lay up to 24. I have 5 dogs, 2 cats, 58 leopard tortoises. That was not a sound effect. Yeah, I have 58. Long story. And I have 1 terrapin. So if you want to see more about all of that, all the animal stuff, that's over on 2 of our channels, I guess. So there's my son's channel, Trip Trek Life. I'll link it down below. And also my secondary channel, which is SY After Party, so Secret Yarnery After Party. That is where I put all the stuff that I film that I think you might enjoy, but is not necessarily crochet related, like my leopard tortoise laying eggs and the eggs hatching and all that stuff is why I have 58. If there's a question you have for me that I didn't answer, go ahead and let me know in the comments under this video, and I'm waiting for you right there. Stay hooked.